Whoa, here we go. Back again. Back in the saddle, back in the captain's chair to give you that awareness so you can move fearless. It's the Real HD show. Social justice and everything in between, around, under, and below and above. Showing love for our people. The good, the bad, the ugly. Healing it with freedom music. You getting it here first on the Real HD show. I'm your host, Vic. It's good to be back here. Good to be back talking with y'all and interacting and building on the future while being understanding the duality between all things good, all things bad, and in between. So if you tapped into this scene, you rocking with the Real HD show, the higher discussion. That's right. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Uh, Share it, comment, and turn on all your notifications so every time we have a Real HD show, you too can tap in and have a higher discussion. All right, man. So we here, and glad to be here. Went down to my baby girl's college just recently. That was a trip. That was a troop. Had to put eyes on baby girl and sample some of her what she's learning down there and what she's gaining out of being in school and performing and all the rest of it. And it was excellent, I have to say. Those girls down there put it down. Those performers, not just the ladies, but the performers put it down south where baby girl goes to school. And I was very proud of her. Checked out her apartment. Everything was straight. Everything was on the love. Spent some real quality time with her. Made sure she got some essentials, and we made our way back here, which was not easy given all of the airport, TSA stuff and airport madness that's been going on in the ethos and in the rest of the country. But we got through all of it pretty good. I have to say that the route we took, which was Buffalo all the way down to Bama and then all the way back up. The route that we took, we didn't have a whole lot of customer service, TSA, and ICE issues at the airport. But I know that we weren't the only ones traveling during this time period, and some other folks encountered some other types of madness. And my heart goes out to them. I hope they get their bags. I hope they get their belongings, and I hope they have a safe return home to their families. But with all of that said, we want to get to thanking our sponsors for the show because without the sponsors, the show couldn't be possible. We want to thank Total Package Energy because some of us have the second half to our day. Go mob their website, all natural, melanated company, giving you that good uh, essentials to give you an extra boost and put that battery in your back. Okay. Also, we want to go with Bats Footwear. Go check them out on Amazon. And also, we want to go redeem vacations. Bring 5 people to any of the Real HD shows. There are 6 of them, and you too can get a gift certificate either to a hotel stay, a dining accommodation, or a staycation near you. So check that out. Make it do what it do. Mob our advertisers, mob our sponsors, so that we can continue to bring you the best that we can bring you on the Real HD show. Okay, so with all of that being said, we have to do our segments. And one of our segments is really interesting because over the weekend, traveling and all the rest of it, it was time for Easter, right? Easter was right on upon us. Um, Osastra, or however you want to call it, it was a time for new beginnings. And most people across the globe, because of the dominance of, Christianity, associate this time with the rising of Jesus and so on and so forth. But we have more to do with that particular storyline than we actually think. So that's one of the very first things we're going to get into on the Real HD show this evening. We're going to get into our stolen legacy moment. We haven't done that in quite a while. So we're going to get into that right now on the Real HD show, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Here we go. All right, so we are in a stolen legacy moment, and a stolen legacy moment is just that. It's a moment where we talk about the things that haven't had a time to come to the surface, things that give us purpose, our context, our legacy, our inheritance, either in deed or in property. And we want to bring that to you properly on the Real HD Show. And then we want to have a higher discussion about it on the other side. So there's some really interesting stuff. I get in, I'm a Steve Coakley disciple. And if you're a Steve Coakley disciple, then you had to come across a guy by the name of Jordan Maxwell. There's just no way you haven't come across this cat. So he's going to explain some things about Easter that are really relevant, pertinent for our understanding. And it will help clear up a lot of things that were unknown and a lot of things that were just kind of taken for granted or just accepted as truth. And we have to rediscover it, retalk about it, and recontextualize it right here on the Real HD Show. Here we go.
In sun.
All right, so the way he starts it is I'll start it over so that you guys can get it.
Churches are actually engaging in sun worship.
Okay, cool. So now that we have that, I will go to the marker so that we can see exactly what he's talking about. So he said basically the people that engage in Easter are engaging in sun worship. And that's very kind of not nuanced because, we had our ancestors in the 70s and the 80s do this, beat this to death in various ways. Barashango did it, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, even Mr. Farrakhan, it's been a lot of people who have brought, you know, knowledge, let knowledge be born to this particular uh idiom, factoid, piece of awareness, if you will. And I just think it's time to remind us, set some traditions of things that like this. So if you say it every year and you make it repetitive, you believe it. So just like on the 6 and 11 o'clock news, if they put black people in cuffs and put them on the perp walk every night, you start to believe that black people are all criminals. Well, that's not actually true. But if you say it enough, repetition makes things real, creates a conceptual reality, especially if you don't live in that particular area and you're not, available to fact check that particular thing. You take the face value of the dominant population that this thing is true because you think they have your best interests at heart. But right now, we are here to dispel some myths about Easter, and that in fact, Easter is all about sun worship. Okay, here we go.
Moving northward 1 degree, starting in December 25th, and ultimately it crosses over the equator, coming back to the northern hemisphere. And as I said, we call this Easter or spring. The Jews say that the sun has crossed over or passes over the equator. They call it the Passover. This is why you always see the sun in the back when it says he is risen. Of course, the sun is risen in spring. He is risen. That's why the flowers come out. Everything is fresh in the northern hemisphere, and we celebrate the apostolic spring season. He is the sun and is springing back. We call it spring season. He is risen, the Son on the cross. He promised he would return, and every spring God's Son does return. We call it Easter. Since God's Son is the light of the world and our seasons are caused by the 4 positions of the sun, this is why Jesus is symbolically God's Son, and that's why we can say that Jesus is the reason for the season. Of course, Christians sing about the birth of the King. You will see the arrow points to the King in heaven, the Son. So Jesus is the reason for the season. Of course, the Son is the reason for the season. Here we have the Last Supper, which is a painting of the Last Supper with Jesus in the middle and his 12 apostles. This is, as I said, Jesus represents the Son and the 12 apostles, like the 12 brothers of Joseph, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 stones on the breastplate of the high priest. Look up in the Bible index and see how many places in the Old and New Testament the letter 12, the number 12 is used. It's used all through the Bible, because the Bible, both Old and New Testament, is based on astrotheology, or God's Son in relation to his chosen 12, which is the 12 signs of the zodiac, or the 12 months of the year. And here you will see God's Son in the middle. He is the reason for the season, because the Son you will see in the middle, and the apostles are grouped in 4 groups of 3s for a very good reason. And to Jesus' right, the first apostle you will see is a female. It's a woman. So one of the 12 apostles, or 12 tribes of Israel, or the 12 brothers of Joseph, or the 12 in the Bible, one of the 12 was a female. Why? It's because the apostles represent each month. There were 12 months of the year, and each month has a zodiacal sign. So there were 12 signs of the zodiac in relation to God's Son. And one of the signs of the zodiac is called Virgo, Virgo the Virgin. God's Son is born of a virgin. That's why to his right you will see a woman, Virgo the Virgin. The others are spring, summer, autumn, winter. This is why you have 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. The 4 Gospels tell the story of God's Son. For more proof that Easter and the Passover are just an ancient celebration of the resurrection and the return of the sun to the northern hemisphere, we need not look any further than just simple greeting cards. Go to any good store during these holidays and you will see greeting cards telling you that it's a beautiful time of year. It's called the Easter season. The season is called Easter. Season, Easter. Season, Easter. Season to season, year to year, Easter comes. Easter is a beautiful season for celebrating the Savior of the world. Of course, the Son is the Savior of the world.
All right. All right. So there we have it. We have Easter being a celebration of the sun. And that, researcher, social scientist, and occult researcher, Jordan Maxwell, broke it down for us, because the sun passes over the equator, and it marks the symbolic resurrection. It marks the physical and the symbolic resurrection of things that went dead in the winter. And it prevents human beings from dying in the, you know, enduring more winter, so they wouldn't have to pass away and have to endure more cold and degradation and, winter beasts and so on and so forth. So that's very, very different than the kind of theological uh, Jesus, or the theological explanation of Easter, that, of course, Jesus was killed on the cross. And those stories are very convoluted. Some people think he got stabbed in his rib. Some people think he died on the actual cross. Some people think he was hung. Um, And then the resurrection is really about the sun rising, not God's sun, but the sun, sun. And what gives you even more evidentiary information about that is culture, values of culture, and the way that culture purports itself across the world makes a lot of difference. So when you'll see a king in Europe, and a king in Europe has a crown, and that crown is pointing to the heavens or pointing to the stars. That's one thing. And then what? How is the crown structured? Most of the time, it's structured like with points to it, like a sun would have rays, and the sun rays would have points. So it's structured very like that. It's structured like the sun. So when they talk about divine right of kings, and kings have divine right to rule, they're paying homage to the only son that they know. They're not talking about the Borgia Pope and his son, and the painting that was done during the Renaissance, and he came out to be some blonde haired, blue eyed Jesus that everybody has on their wall. Everybody's grandmother, great grandmother had on their wall in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We're not talking about that figure. We're talking about the astrological sun that gives the solar system its warmth and helps things grow. And then when you're at a northernmost point away from it, you enter a period of winter. So Easter is, and people take for granted what that sun during the Easter period provides, and the presence of it. A lot of people attribute it to Jesus being the reason for the season. But it's a very interesting tegnama, te- tetragram, right? Very interesting tetragram play on words as to why Jesus is infused with the Son. But then it makes sense if God, the Spirit, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit is all one. Then Jesus being the Son, Sun, makes a lot of sense. Not God's child, but God's Son. The Sun, the reason. So I thought that was interesting. Then there's another one I'm trying to get the title for. Um, Let me see. I had it. Yep, Easter Sun figures. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw that movie with that Jay-Z made. It was called Clarence. It was either called Chronicles of Clarence, the Book of Clarence. That's what it was called, Book of Clarence. And in that book, in that movie, they showed a scene with a lot of people being crucified. So of course, in those days, depending on, you know, many nations crucified people, by the way. The Chinese did, the Asians did, the Romans did, the Greeks did, even some African nations crucified people. It was a way to represent to the larger population of people that you shouldn't trespass or break laws that the king or the divine one or the divine head of your kingdom told you to follow, or you'd wind up like this. So it was a deterrent. So they will put you along a wall or put you along a pathway so you be seen and you be obvious that this was a crime that you were not to commit, right? Whatever crime that was, or just crimes in general. Don't treason the king, don't treason the divine figure, or you'll end up on the crucifix. And many times, to make sure that those people didn't just rot away, they would give them some sort of like mortal wound before they put them on the cross so that they would pass away from the wound, and then, rem- you know, they would remain on the cross without being in like agony for like, long, super long periods of time. Um, and I guess that was giving them a mercy, right? Throwing them a mulligan, giving them a mercy, but they still had the symbolism of the deterrent. Don't mess with the king, don't mess with the emperor, don't mess with the divine person who's leading the people, because you'll end up like this, right? So, um, in that movie, Clarence, they showed how many figures could be a Jesus type of a figure. Clarence he wasn't Jesus, but his deeds could mimic and mirror what a Jesus figure was about, for sure. So I just want to show y'all another Jordan Maxwell video, and it's called Easter Figures, Easter Sun Figures. And we'll go through that really quick. It's a short, it's not as long as the other one. And then we'll talk about it on the other side. Stolen Legacy Report. Here we go.
Religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. Of course, God's son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the prince of darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the prince of darkness. And his name was Set. And he came out at sunset. The Egyptians said that that newborn sun that came up every morning, his name was Horus. In Easter, we have Easter sunrise services, Horus Horizon. That's where we get the word horizon. I'm saying that there are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
All right. So you see it there. So there are, based on the Kemetan theogamy story, you got, you know, Usar or Osiris. You got Isis or um or Set, and then you have Set. And the theogamy story, which is told very symbolically in The Lion King, the Disney movie. That's very, I find that to be very interesting. The way that they, put that together. But that's told very blatantly and very kind of openly in The Lion King, and how that family succession went into practice. And the evil brother kills the big brother who's the king. He takes the inheritance, and then the prodigal son returns, just like the prodigal son, S-U-N, returns in the spring for Easter, or Estar, according to if you read Zoroaster or some of the more occult religion in their text. So I just wanted to show y'all that, and the flowers blooming, the sun coming out, people's attitudes about life being a little more chipper, a little more people look forward to being outdoors, being a little more active. They get activated, the warmth, the vitamin D on the skin. All of those things make the body processes work a little better. It makes the cultural processes work a little better. Um, and so on and so forth. So, you know, we seem to be, the Pope and the Vatican and the Christian franchise seems to rule the uh, this time period of the year, and a lot of time periods of the year. They make many, many rules for the global onset of things this time of year. And I'm here to tell you that those things are absolutely false. And there is proof that original people have a lot more to do with that, and that there's a lot of mockery and mimicry that goes on with that. And that's why that's our stolen legacy for this show tonight. Peace, Godspeed. What's going on, man? We talking about Easter or Easter and
Oh,
the rising of the SUN and not the SON. Um,
mm, okay.
yeah, we're building on that a little bit. We talked about how the sun passes over the equator and how that's the actual Passover. That's why there's a Passover. That's why some of the ancient ones or some of the Hebrews of old called it Passover because the sun
Mhm.
actually passes over the equator
Uh,
and is in the annex of the northern hemisphere. What experience do you have with Easter, the onset of Easter, the symbolism of it, or the truth and the
mm.
reality of it? What say you?
With Easter. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
there
was just
was a
trying to
time
make
when.
it quick.
Mhm.
Just a quick one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Easter, yeah, there was a time when I was a kid, coming up in the Catholic Church, we used to celebrate that.
Hmm.
But move, I move, I move beyond that. So
Hmm.
yeah, Easter, this whole, look, man. I see a lot of these folks as allegorical characters with great stories that you can learn
Hmm.
from. But I do
Hmm.
not think that that man was somebody who actually lived. I
Mm.
personally believe where I'm at, I might be saying something different next year, maybe, maybe not. But as it stands for me, that's Josephus, this writer of that time period.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And also too is
Josephus or Geppetto, depending on what story you're reading, right?
correct, correct, correct. So you got that. Then you also have, prior to me hearing about a Josephus, and he may have something to do with this part too. Who knows? I have to do a little more research. But I always heard that the story of Heru is
Hmm.
where they pulled that energy from to create a Jesus.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
have
yeah.
that.
I just showed the video of Jordan Maxwell, and he was
Okay.
talking about how they were 16 crucified saviors.
Correct. I read that. I didn't get to dig into that book like I was supposed to. I bought it.
Yeah.
I loaned it to my uncle a long time ago, and he fell in love with it. So I never got to read it.
Oh yeah, that book is powerful. It opens up a lot of eyes, man. It really
I couldn't
does.
tell you the first thing about that book because I never got to read it. I got to buy me one,
Hey
another
man,
one.
shout out to Patrick Payne. If you still around, good brother. Shout out to you, man. You let me work at your bookstore. And that was one of the first books I picked up. And I read that thing cover to cover.
That
I
part
was
right there.
I was activated, bro. I was activated.
You know what's crazy? That's where I bought the book from.
Yeah. Oh, you bought it from his store. Dope. Dope.
That's where I bought it from. Patrick Payne,
Dope.
Mr. Payne,
Hmm.
no doubt, brother
Yeah,
Patrick.
that was a good brother. That was a good brother, man. Good
That
dude,
is
man.
crazy. But yeah, yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say on that, man. Because I'm gonna watch back on this to see what I missed that you had dropped on, prior to me getting on. Word. But yeah, man. Yeah. Could you hear me? Because your visual is off. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be right back on. Just having a little, a little visual effect going on. Hopefully, everybody on air is well and better. Absolutely. And hey, look, you know what? When I say certain things on this frequency, I don't mean to offend, but if you ask me a straight question, I will give you a straight answer. If you don't ask me in a venue like this, I won't volunteer it like that. You know what I mean? It's like acupuncture. You ask the right question, I come out with that information, get rid of that inflammation, you know? So, again, if the Bible, the Torah, all these great books, if they inspire you, you know, the Septuagint, right? And it could be the Bible of various different writers. You have the King James Version, you have the American version. But heck, these days you even have a Trump version of the Bible. Whatever it is that keeps you in line and keep you sane and keep you kind to others, continue to do so. You know what I mean? But if you're asking me my thoughts on certain things, I will give you those thoughts. Some of them might not be, something you've heard before. Some of them might be. Some of them might be a school of thought that you've been through already, and you're still, pushing forward, and you're into a whole different thing. And to be quite honest with you, some of us get to a point that we may feel at some point in time that the stories that are written about these people is actually history, and then we get to a point where we feel like it's allegorical, and you got some that go back and feel like it's history all over again. I've seen it. I've absolutely seen it. Absolutely, I've seen people who I respect up to this day step out of Roman Catholicism and Christianity and or Judaism, and their various different religious fractions underneath those umbrellas. I've seen them step all the way out, all the way out. And then I watched them step all the way back in. But I never had a problem with it. You know why? It's about what you do with it. That's all it comes down to. There's no fancy phrasing. It's about what you do with it. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, go feed the homeless and you are making the sign of the cross to open up your prayer and close your prayer, then so be it. You can still be a great person. So be it. It's all about what you do with it. For me, it's about that. But my only problem with one of my only problems with so-called religions is that each person or each strong representative or each strong believer of a particular religion always feel like their religion is the only answer, the only key to the galaxy, the only proper understanding of the all in all or the most high or God or, Jehovah or, that or Ptah or Ra, you know what I'm saying? They feel like their particular religion is the only vehicle that provides the answers to that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's not the case. I think there's different ways of living that are older than religions that, are celebrated by various different tribes all over the world. That's older than the idea of religion. Religion is embryonic still in comparison to certain tribes and their practices. And a lot of those tribes' practices inspired religion, right? Because I'm going to keep freestyling until my brother get back on here. So you have situations where, like, you look at Roman Catholicism, Christianity, and Judaism. What they have in common is one of the many things they have in common is that they all come out of the teachings of the Medunetta. Because, when the Hyksos, they were travelers from the Cascaris Mountains. Some say Caucasus, and some places they say Cascaris. When those folks came from the mountains, they were travelers, and they would just roam, travel, carrying their culture as they go, and possibly lack thereof, right? But they had came across ancient Kemet, which is pre-Egypt, right? Kemet or Tamaray, depending on which period in time we're talking about, right? So they came there as travelers, and they needed to beg a lodging because they had taken a long travel from the stories I heard, right? So the Kemites, very kind people, they allowed them in. They have manners. They have hospitality. Before that word was probably even a thing in the English language, all right? They allowed these people in. Weeks turned to months. The beggar staying a little bit longer. Months turn into years. Years turn into hundreds of years. And then these people became part of the government in ancient Kemet. And then there was a big old takeover of the government. They started filling all those positions and coming through with their idea of how things are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And now they're there for hundreds of years. They feel like they're citizens as much as the natives. Next thing you know.
Peace, brother. Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
I can hear you.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yep.
I'm lagging a little bit. I'm not quite sure what the lagging is about, but as long
Right.
as you can hear me, then
I can hear you.
main.
We can see you. We can see you, and we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Wave your hand real quick. Throw up a peace sign. Let me see.
Well, it's gonna be a lag behind. You'll see it in a second. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
we
sure
can hear you.
my audio was on point. It'll catch up.
Right.
It'll catch up. So what were you building on? I had a little bit of
Yeah. I was
technical
there
difficulty.
you go. I see your hand go up now. Yeah, no. So I was just adding on a little more until you get back on concerning the three religions that are heavily favored in the Western Hemisphere, as in Judaism,
Yeah,
Christianity, Roman
right,
Catholicism, and how their relationship to the ancient Medunetta on the walls of ancient Kemet, now known as Egypt. So I was just
right,
walking them through that, showing them that, hey, look, not, my main thing with religions is that, hey, one of the main peeves I have is that each religion feels may be a representative or maybe a parishioner. They always feel like their thing is the only thing. When we have things out there that was a lot older, that precursored, and or even inspired, and or that things were taken from to create their religion.
right.
So just giving them a quick rundown, with the
Yeah,
Hyksos
no
and how
problem,
they were
bro.
in there.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
Build, expand, man. Do your thing.
Okay, cool. So I mean, these folks will know they were hearing. So and they also could rewind on when we put the stuff out there on YouTube and stuff. But basically, from the little bit I've read and I've listened to great scholars like Dr. Ben, Dr. Henry Clark, Ashua Kwesi, which is one of my all-time favorite guys, is Ashua Kwesi, but he's a student of theirs. It's just that
Hmm.
his frequency was a frequency I was able to hear and really lock in with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like Ashford Quasi dropped it. He was like, yeah, the Hyksos came in there. They stayed there for months. They ended up staying there for hundreds of years. They became part of the government, and then they started using that platform to promote their agenda. And
yes,
then during that time period, they were learning the Medunetta. They had governmental positions and everything. So the next thing
yeah,
you know, there was a big disagreement between the natives and the travelers, right? And next thing you know, big debacle, big fight, blood spilled. Some of the natives who were standing up for the old tenants of their ancestors had to leave under duress, right? And war.
right.
And then they had to regather themselves on the outskirts and then barrel back in. And then what ended up happening then from what Ashua Kwesi shared with us is that the actual real Exodus took place, the real Exodus. Because what they call the Exodus now, with the story of Moses, is not truly the story of Moses. It's the story of Moses, but it's not the story of the person that inspired or that the knowledge of was stolen to create Moses. It's a man named
Mm.
Ahmos. So Ahmos
Hmm.
was the one who came back into ancient Kemet with the armies, and they ran the Hyksos out, and that was the actual Exodus. And when you go to the Medunetta on the walls, you will see the Hyksos because the Hyksos was, and I have to do color on this one only because it's actual facts. The drawing of the Hyksos, they were very pale in complexion because they were of the Caucasus Mountains, okay? And the thing is that that's who they were. They were the precursor to what you now call the Jews of today,
You making
okay?
so many points, brother. Because you go in so many fabulous directions with what you're talking about. Because we can start talking about Grand General Taharka, who came from Kush to set it
Mm-hmm.
all right. He came through with that stick. He was like, "Look,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
these my
Yes,
people."
sir.
It's almost like your long lost cousin, look like Debo, come through.
Word. Word.
It's my
Word.
family house. What you doing? What you doing? Let me set you right real quick. Please, please, Simba, what's going on with you, bro?
What up,
What,
Welcome
guy?
to the show.
what's up? What's up, guys? How you guys doing? How you guys doing?
Yeah, we
Not
would. I
too
had a
bad.
little technical difficulties, and Godspeed was holding it down for me
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
the show real quick, and he went in so many amazing directions. I was trying to keep up. You talk about the Hyksos, and we just started talking about Easter. That's all we was talking about. I just
Yeah,
wanted to mention something about Easter, and this
yeah.
brother all in the stars and the Hyksos, and
Yeah, he
that's
went
why I
deep
love
down
having
into
them on the
details.
show because we don't know which way this is gonna go. You know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying?
don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We don't.
What say you, man? Are you a Easter person? Are you a staunch Christian, or
Well,
are you a Christian in the know, or do you have a different sort of spiritual background that kind of opens you up to some different information? Where do you land on this spectrum?
well, well. That's a great question. Because I am Catholic, right?
Okay.
I'm Roman Catholic.
Okay.
Easter is a big holiday in our and like Catholics in general, whoever celebrates Easter,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big event because like Jesus sacrificed his life for us, and
Mm-hmm.
on the third day, like he rose again. He's risen, as they all said. It says all over the Bible and
Mm-hmm.
every scriptures that you could possibly read about Easter. So I do
Right.
believe like Easter is very one of the most important holidays that we celebrate as Catholics, Christians, or whoever celebrates Easter. So but the whole situation is like it's funny that you say that because like I went to church on Easter Sunday, and they were talking about like how like Jesus like rose from the dead, and like just hearing that story every year, the same story every year, it just shows that human this particular human being named Jesus, right? He performed miracles. I saw like so many movies. Like a week before, I saw I don't know if you guys saw this movie called it's by Mel Gibson because he directed it. It's
Yeah,
called
the
The Passion
Passions
of
of
the
Christ.
Christ. Yes.
Passion of the Christ.
If you've
Good
seen
old
that
Passion of
movie,
the Christ, man. That
I'm
thing,
telling
when
you.
that thing came through, man, that thing made such a ruckus, man.
Fun
Everybody
fact.
was.
Let me tell
You remember that? Yo, Passion of the Christ, man.
let me tell y'all
Woo!
some facts about that movie, right? If
Uh
you didn't
huh.
already know. So that movie was originally supposed to be produced, but it didn't because of like controversy and all that stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Mel Gibson took his own money and made a budget movie. He used his own money to make that movie. I think it was like
Correct.
30 million, 40 million. That was a budget to
Correct.
make the whole
At that
movie.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So that guy who played Jesus Christ in that movie, right? Mel Gibson came up to him and asked him, I'm like, hey, listen, I think you'll be a fantastic Jesus. I think you should play the role of Jesus. He did not give Mel Gibson the answer right there. It took him a couple days. He got back to him. He said, you know what? I'll play Jesus Christ in the movie. Fun fact, and the thing is, I was just watching this the other way. I didn't know that actor legitly got lashed in the movie, like his skin ripped apart.
Mm.
Wow.
The second hit in that movie, it was not meant to happen.
Wow.
So they didn't call him a stunt double for old dude, did they?
Exactly. And the crazy part
Can
is,
we get the stunt double in here?
He was
This ain't
method
Roots.
acting.
What's going on?
He was
yeah,
method acting.
and the crazy part is that actor, believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
him and the assistant director, if I'm not mistaken, the main actor who played Jesus Christ got struck by lightning twice. He
I,
survived.
Wow.
I was gonna say that. I've read where they said that
Yeah,
the actor got hit by lightning.
yeah, and also the executive director or the assistant director or something like that, one of the cat, he also got like struck by lightning. So
Right.
that comes to show that, like, like God is up there. God is with us at all times. Like, that's just a sign.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's still good and everything. He probably got burned or whatever the case may be. He's doing well and stuff like that. Because I was reading about him actually because I completely forgot about like who played the actor of Jesus in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Right.
was reading, and like he's doing good now. He's just laying low. He's like under the radar because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to be out there as much. After he did the movie, because like you said, like it's a controversial movie. Like they did, it's just the blood, the gore, and everything. It's just like crazy. But
Yeah. There's an interesting movie called Book of Clarence. If you could check that out, I'd love for you to check that movie out, bro, and then
yeah,
come back on the show and let me know what you think.
Yeah, it's a hell of a movie.
I'll
And
give
then
it a shot.
also, there's a. I wonder how close the guy who was the actor who played the Jesus in the movie. I wonder how close he was to the likeness of Caesar Borgia.
Mm,
Good question.
That's the guy who posed for the picture of Jesus in the Renaissance in
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah.
That's that guy. He was the son
Caesar
of the
Borgia.
Pope.
Yeah.
He was of the Borgia Pope. He was the son of the Borgia Pope.
Mm-hmm.
But he posed as a young man for the picture of Jesus. So I wonder how close the two of them were in likeness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
can I? Yeah, can I actually let me ask y'all guys a question since we're in the topic of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Do y'all think that Easter is the most important holiday for Catholics, Christians than Christmas?
That's a good question, though. I like the question.
What do you guys think? Because like I've been thinking about it
Well,
and stuff like that. Because me, like
Mhm.
personally, I love Christmas, but
Okay.
my wallet doesn't. You
I
understand? Like my wallet don't.
nobody's
Right?
wallet.
Yeah.
Nobody's wallet likes that time of year. That's
My wallet don't. My wallet don't.
wallets are anti-holidays, bro.
Yep.
That
So
I think
like
that's
bah humbug.
universal.
right. So it's
Bah
I
just
think
like
that's
humbug.
universal for sure.
yeah.
Wallets,
But
wallets, and purses don't like holidays for sure.
Uh-uh.
so I just want to ask y'all, whoever's
And I think
watching the show, also.
more so men's wallets, because
Yep.
the women love that tradition. They
Uh
love
huh.
that tradition.
Uh huh.
No
Yeah.
matter how much I say, you don't have to get me anything.
That's
Here
that
it
line. That's that
comes.
famous line, right? You don't have to give me anything.
No,
You
no,
know.
that's my line. It ain't that famous.
But no,
Yeah,
like
man.
that's what I wanted to ask y'all. You know, since we're in the verge of topic like Easter and all that stuff,
Right.
like Catholic, Christians, and all that religious stuff. So I just
Right.
want to ask y'all, and like people who ever watching too, if you could like answer this question, whatever you guys pick is fine. It's just like I want to know which holiday is important, like more important to y'all, Easter or Christmas.
Okay.
Because remember, Easter is Jesus died for, he rose again on the third day.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Christmas, he's born. You understand? So those are two big holidays in the year long calendar that Catholics and Christians and whoever celebrates Christmas, like Christmas and Easter. It's a big two religious holiday.
Well, okay, I'll jump in. And I'm going to say this. When I used to be a Catholic, right? Because I did my confirmation at the age of 13, and that's when I decided to move into something different, right? But as a kid, coming up in the game, they used to think I was going to be a priest because I would go to Mass on a Friday night, Mass on a Saturday, Mass on a Sunday. They really thought I was going to be a priest, right? But the thing is that the monetization of it, he's still on screen. Oh, there. Yep. The
Okay.
monetization of it lean heavy on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? It's like the seesaw tilts here, right? Because of that. But also too, they say that that's when he was born. So you have that too, right? So the lean is very heavy over here. You know what I mean? But if you took away the monetization, it would be about here. I would say that equally as important to the Roman Catholic parishioners in church. You know what I mean? Because there's a beginning, there's an end. You know what I mean? So I would say monetization rise. It made Christmas lean the seesaw heavy on its side, because outside of that, Easter is the Easter bunny stuff. It's not that expensive out there on Easter. You know what I'm saying? But if you take away all of the monetization, I would say it's 50-50 from my past experience.
Well, you gotta, if we're talking if we're talking cultural, right? Like what's happening culturally, and
Hmm.
especially if you come from the Baptist tradition, it depends on if you got a big family and they need Easter clothes.
Yeah.
Then you
That
have
Wally
that.
gonna get that work. That Wally gonna get that work on Easter too. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Hmm.
So that was
But
always a big.
what do you think these two holidays, Christmas and Easter, being the most important like religious
Mm-hmm.
holiday in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys leaning towards on? Christmas or Easter? Take like don't even think about the monetary fact and everything. Just out of like in a whole, right?
Hmm.
What do you guys lean out more?
Mm.
Oh, okay. You know what? Again, I'll go back to my old experience. Easter. See,
Yeah, if
when
I
I was
had
a
to pick,
Catholic,
if
yeah,
I
go ahead.
agree. If I had to pick one, it'd be Easter.
Yeah,
I agree
yeah. When
because
I was a Catholic, Easter was heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because of
yeah,
the
and
whole,
also
yeah.
to me, it's a better feel good time of the year. The sun is out. It means the summer is coming around.
Hmm.
The flowers are blooming. There's an energy. There's this energy going on because of the sun. I'm
Right.
going. I'm going Easter on that one, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Easter, definitely. Because even in Trinidad, you know, whereas the energy is the same energy all year round, because we don't have a winter, we don't have a fall, we only have a dry season and a rain season.
Mm-hmm.
So even then, in
Mm-hmm.
both times of the year, and I'm taking away the whole, ambiance of the Christmas holiday part. I'm completely going to subtract that. The family energy was just as strong both times of that, that situation. Easter and Christmas was just as strong family wise. We still amongst each other. We still going to each other's houses. We're doing all these things together. We're going to church together. We're doing all this thing together. You know what I mean? But because of the whole thing of the death and the resurrection, I would almost say that would give it a little bit of a slight edge,
Okay.
because people are always concerned about being forgiven for something that they did. You know what I mean? So Easter is associated with Jesus dying for the sins of the world. You know what I'm saying? So that would make it a little heavier on that end. I would have to reassess myself and say Easter gets a slight edge.
That's fair because like I've been thinking, right? I've been thinking like it's just like to me this is what I'm thinking, right? And look, you made very great points, Vic. You also make very great points about like explaining yourself why you guys chose Easter, right? It's just like to me, I think both of them are equally important as much
Mhm.
because look, I'm just gonna take what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you said is Jesus died for everybody's sins and everything, right? He resurrected there on the third day.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, he was born. Those are the two most important things that I think like in those holidays is just like makes us who we are as Catholics.
Okay.
We have a God, right? We have a
Okay.
God. We look up to him. We believe in him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think like so to me, I could never give you a clear answer which one I'd rather choose with the Christmas or Easter because I think both equal handedly go hand in hand because they have their own story,
Mm-hmm.
their own personality. Not like yeah, you could say personality, right? But at the same time, it's just both meaningful to the faith that I believe in,
Okay.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, like I'm Vic. I'm not trying to take away what y'all said because you guys made great points and you broke it down to a simple fact like what you guys gave and what you guys thought of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your decisions are your decisions. By the end of the day, you guys chose Easter. That's your choice. It is what it is, right? I'm not mad about it.
Okay.
But what the way I see it in my view is just like Easter and Christmas are the most two important religious holiday that we have as Catholics and Christians and whoever celebrates it. So I
Copy.
just think those two things in particular just has an impact in our lives because like you said before, like I'm gonna say it again.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus died for our sins. He resurrected. Prior to that, right? He performed miracles. He did so many things that we know,
Mm-hmm.
so it just like and also Christmas, yes, Christmas he's just born and stuff like that, born of Virgin Mary, like he in a cradle, like we know the story,
Right.
but
Right.
it's just like to me I just find both those religious holiday as very important and it's very impactful to me because it's just like that's our God, you know that's my
Mm.
God, that's what I believe in.
Okay.
Mm.
So
That's peace.
it's heavy. It's heavy. Like when I went to mass on Easter Sunday, I went to mass with Easter Sunday with the wife to be, which by the way, guys, sorry to get off topic. Me and my
No.
wife officially getting married this Friday.
Oh,
Oh,
congratulations,
congratulations,
bro.
brother.
So yes, in court. So
Congratulations.
I don't want to get sidetracked, but
No,
just
no,
have to
that's all
get
right.
that out there. You
Nah,
know,
nah. Let's do this real quick.
I'm glad you shared that with us. That's
right?
what's up.
So yeah, we went and we just like it just like the Bible verse what the priest read and all that stuff. It just like got into me. I'm like, wow, like Easter really is like very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very the story how it is. And then when I go to like midnight mass, because we usually my family goes to midnight mass. We go to church on Christmas Eve, like 12 o'clock
Mhm.
mass in like the morning. So we
Mhm.
do midnight mass. So when we go to midnight mass, he just feels so good just listening there, like listen to God how he was born and all that stuff. It's just like very, very like evenly. It goes hand in hand in my opinion with those two
Okay.
religions.
That's peace. That's
Yeah,
peace.
absolutely. I'm glad. I'm happy to hear about your nuptial. I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
blessings to you and the wife and the family.
Yep.
And
Thank you, fellas.
and you, of course, you're joining with another family, so now you have an extended family.
Yes, sir.
And
All
blessings
the
to
way.
y'all journey, man. That's a beautiful thing, man.
Absolutely. Congratulations,
You
bro.
know, uh, me and wifey rocking for just about 30 years now. So
God bless. God bless.
if I could give you a piece of advice, bro, as I would say, is shut your door and take care of your union, bro. Shut your door, even to your extended family, and make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you and your wife got an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that understanding can't be broken.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
No matter who says what, no matter whose impression is put on what, and your union will be tested. Your bond will be tested in many ways, and you just have to and kind of strengthen that understanding and that bond, but also give each other space to be human beings at the same time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
fellas. Like,
yeah,
it means a lot, coming from y'all. It means a lot.
yeah, yeah. So without getting way too deep into it, because I don't know if you saw the Jordan Maxwell videos, Simba, but it was some interesting information in those videos about some alternate information about Easter and about the Jesus resurrection journey and what that actually means, and some things that other people across the planet may have a different in opinion on the Jesus story and the Jesus fable and the resurrection. So it means a lot to a certain group of people, and to other people it means different things. Like in other words, in Kemet or Egypt, they have the festival of Khonshu, and that's the festival that celebrates Heru or Horus and his place in the theogamy story of how you know the Holy Family was formulated. So it's a lot of interesting things. And as you continue on with your journey, brother, I don't, I'm not trying to sway your faith or ask you to move in a different direction before
Right.
you're ready or when you're ready, but you may
Right.
come across some different types of information. Um, and it may make you look differently at a couple of things. You know what I mean?
And the crazy, it's crazy how you say that, Vic, is because like I've seen videos and stuff like that, how like famous people don't believe in God, and
Mm-hmm.
and later down the line, something bad happens to them. They're like paralyzed because they didn't believe in God. Like one of the, I
Mm.
forgot who was that guy. He was on a wheelchair. I forgot what's his name, but he looked like he said that, oh, God is just a fairy tale or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's in the wheelchair. You see what you do? You talk bad about God, it comes back to you.
Mm.
Today or tomorrow, it'll come back to you, and I believe
Yeah.
that heavy. You never did, like, whatever God does for the best, and I strongly believe in that.
Well, I'll say this, right? I'll say that everybody has their spiritual capacity or their spiritual
Mm-hmm.
aptitude, right? So it's almost like you're taking a quote unquote SAT test.
Yeah,
And some people are at the lower end and some people are at the higher end. And but that's your path to walk. You see what I mean? Like some
Right.
people are on their ABCs of spirituality, and then some people are right up there with the 14 and the 1600s of it all. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And everybody is entitled to walk that path at their pace, your spiritual path at your pace. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because
Yeah,
I,
and
like.
that's how I handle it. Back in the day, I
Right.
would get into these real
Right.
emotional, crazy, karmic conversations with people who were Christian and people who were Muslim and people who were Jewish and Hebrew, and everybody had their different. Even people who were like, Hebrew Israelite and
yeah,
Zoroastrian and Kabbalion and a bunch of people, and everybody
Mm.
had different. Like I said, you on your SAT, you on your 800 to 1600.
Right.
yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
No, that
You gotta
makes good.
find out where you land on the spirituality scale. You know what I mean? And
Right.
grow from there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At the end of the
Because
day,
what I would say too, Kai, is that what I strive to do is, whatever is keeping somebody sane and how could I say pleasant to others out of their lane, I say maintain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the household I grew up in, I have a mother that's Catholic, right? I have a father that has looked at me my entire life and told me God does not exist. He's
Mm.
answered his door for every single person of a different religious denomination that want to ring that bell. And I've seen him ring their bell really bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And guess what? He's still here, 80 something years of age. So I wouldn't depend on that too much. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that that means, it has to necessarily contrary your personal experiences and maybe viewing others from a distance or being involved around someone who did such a thing and then you see their life go a certain way. But what I'm trying to say is that this is absolutely a very big world that's a little bit bigger than society's constructs that's known as government and or religious government, etc. Because what happens with a man that lives in a mountain that never came down from the mountain, that plants his own food and everything, and you know what I mean? Because I know you got people from different places, you know what I'm saying, like I do, because I got people from Trinidad. So it's not impossible for a person to be up in that hill, live their own lifestyle, and guess what? They live out their lives without ever stepping into a church or a mosque or a synagogue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just a big wide world out there. And like I said earlier in the earlier part of the show, I'm okay with anybody in their religions. But the only one of the main peeves I have with it is when they think that their vehicle is the only vehicle when there were other vehicles that were here before their vehicle. There were other vehicles there that inspired their vehicle. You know what I mean? And there's a very brutal history behind the holy wars. So I look at things from a very different angle. Very different angle.
And
Like, yeah,
and the thing is, like, you're right about that, right? There's a lot of people think that like whatever they believe, you believe whatever you believe in at the end of the day, right? That's your
hmm
life. That's how you want to like rock out, which is fine, right? Nobody has a
right,
problem with it, whether you're Muslim, you're Jewish, you're Catholic, you're Christian, Baptist, whatever the case may be.
right,
But it's just like, and look, it's funny that you mentioned it. I also have the same pet peeve like that. Is like when people say that, oh, I'm Muslim, my religion is like the best. We do this, we
right,
do that, we do, and
yeah,
I'm like, no, like you gotta understand that whatever your people went through, we went through the same thing, not the same way,
right,
in different aspects, different point of views, and that's what I try to
correct,
understand. And like and the crazy part, what I think about it is no matter if you're Jewish, if you're
hmm
Muslim, you're Catholic, everybody believes in one God.
right.
We just have different names.
Well, okay, hold on. I gotta jump in there real quick. I don't subscribe to one individual being God, being the all creator, one individual. I don't subscribe to that
All right.
because everywhere I look, I see a family. Maybe the animals, maybe the humans, right? Now, what I would say is this: even in the Bible, in Genesis, created in our likeness is words that's there, right? So who's the our if it's just one man? You understand where I'm coming from? That don't make sense.
Yeah.
That there's no rhyme and reason where somebody's gonna say, "Oh yeah, this is the book that we go by," and we're gonna say it's one man, right? One man, the Holy Spirit, and then the Son, right? No mother. Where is the woman, right? So my thing is like everywhere I look, it's man, woman, and child. Goma Asdubar is the actual etymology of God. God is an acronym, and I could prove it. It's in Greek. You know what I'm saying? So that means wisdom, strength, and beauty. That's what the word God really means, right? So I would say that that's something to look into a little more, right? And always remember, I said man, woman, child. Some cultures is woman, as in wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Strength, man, beauty. Some people might think the beauty is the children that comes from that unison of wisdom and strength. So there's just a whole lot there. And these things are things that were here before all of these religions, maybe Judaism, Catholicism, or Christianity, right? Because even Jesus never proclaimed to have been any of these things, right? As it's written in the book. But that's the thing. The book was precursor by the Septuagint. The Bible is precursor by the Septuagint. What came before the Septuagint was the whatchamacallit, the Torah was actually written before the Septuagint. But the Septuagint is a combination book of the Torah, because that's, the stories of Moses, Ehud, Enoch, right? Samson, David, right? That's the Torah. That's the Torah talking. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But the thing is that when you talk about people like Jesus and so forth, the New Testament comes in. That is the actual works of the Greeks and the Ptolemies. When Alexander the Great took over, that's when the Septuagint was written. So we got to look at things from, no, we don't have to do anything. I would suggest that we look at things from different angles, try to see the etymologies and the origins of certain things to get a better understanding of it. Because for someone to really have confidence in knowing where they're going, they ought to know where they came from. For them to know where their vehicle is going, they need to know where their vehicle was built. You know what I'm saying? So I would just put that out there to all the audience.
I'm not gonna lie. I just got a whole history lesson in about 30 minutes about luck, about religious. It's great.
Give thanks, bro. I give thanks to you
Like,
because
no, bro. Like
So
like. Go ahead, Vic. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that was just supposed to be the icebreaker. It was supposed to shake the table a little bit and get us going. And now it's 9 o'clock and we building on that. So I don't ever cut off the conversation in the building for the sake of whatever show I got stored and in plan. Because the point of the show is to talk. The point of the show is to be better, have us be better with one another than when we, you know, when we before we got on. We want to be better with
correct.
one another. We want to have a better understanding, a better outlook on life than when we started. You know what I mean?
Don't get me
So
Absolutely.
wrong. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's not a bad thing to be educated, guys. Whoever's watching, it's always good to learn and educate yourself. Whatever, if you're misinterpreting something, it's always good to learn, do research, pick up a book, study on it. And try to be on the wave, the same wavelength. So educating, like Luck just educated me. He educated the hell out of me. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
give thanks.
I'll keep it a thou out. You educated the hell out of me with this whole thing, because I
Oh,
completely forgot
well,
about
listen,
Alexander the Great.
well,
So it
listen,
was it was a good
well,
lesson.
that's
listen.
great.
I have something. Listen, I have something that I can. If you can get a book, and this will kind of it activated me, so it may activate you. It's called 16 Crucified Saviors. Check that book out. If you can still
That's
find it in
serious.
print. If you can still find it in print, maybe on Amazon or some thrifty bookshop or something like that. But it's definitely a read. It's definitely a great read. Um,
Absolutely.
and also, Ishamuka Barashango wrote a book called European Holidays and what's it called? European Holidays and Genocide.
Mm.
Ishamusha Barashango. That's a very good book. Go check that out too. And not from the fact that, you have to vehemently disagree with anything, but it gives you a really contextual history
Yeah.
of
I'm gonna check
holidays,
that
how
out
they got
myself.
formulated, what papal edicts kind of came into place to give them their introduction, what kind of Roman stuff was involved, and it gives you like a broad kind of context of how the American centric holidays were brought about.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And
but I want
one
to
more
change.
thing. One more
Mm-hmm,
thing I
go ahead.
want to say too is that,
Mm-hmm.
like early in the taping, what I was saying is, at the for me personally, my opinion, at the end of the day, is what you do with it is what counts. You know what I mean? You could be Christian, you could be Catholic, you could be Muslim, you could be Hindu, you could be any of it. But if you're doing something righteous for someone, in my opinion, because being righteous is a choice. Striving to be righteous is a choice a person makes to either do it or not do it. You know what I mean? And sometimes they own it, and if they're off, they come back to it, or some just stay on it. You know what I'm saying? Some just stay out of it. You know what I'm saying? But my opinion is that it's what you do with it. If you're doing some positive works with it, then it's prim and proper. You know what I mean? That's just the way I see it. So always remember that.
So I wanted to change the subject a bit, and I wanted to show you something from the Lit City report, the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round. Because we need levity. So let's just get into that real quick. And then we brought Brother Blue on the program. Peace to you, brother. Let's get into this real quick on the show. I gotta show you that. Video is interesting, and I want to celebrate it because it celebrates the God MC Rakim.
Oh, that's my guy.
In his greatness.
That's my guy.
I was gonna make it a kind of a either or, but I said, nah, we gotta celebrate the God Rakim in the Lit City report, and he has something interesting that he did that I just came across that I didn't even know. So I said, yeah, I gotta celebrate the brother because he did some brilliant stuff. And you don't really hear this about hip hop like you should, but because hip hop is done in the traditions of old, the griot traditions of old, it's not really out of sorts that he would do something like this, whether it was conscious or unconscious. So let's check out the brother and talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
Control through mathematics? This is absolutely wild. Growing up in Wyandanch.
Wait a minute. Let me rewind a bit. Let me rewind it just a taste. There we go. And let's let it play.
Growing up in Wyandanch, Rakim became obsessed with the 5% Nation's supreme mathematics. But here's where it gets crazy. He started applying golden ratio principles to create his signature laid-back flow that literally hypnotized listeners. We're talking about using Fibonacci sequences in his verse structure that made his rhymes feel
I'll start that over.
Okay.
That deserves to be started over so it's not so choppy.
Rakim might have wild. Growing up in Wyandanch, Rakim became obsessed with the 5% Nation's supreme mathematics. But here's where it gets crazy. He started applying golden ratio principles to create his signature laid-back flow that literally hypnotized listeners. We're talking about using Fibonacci sequences in his verse structures that made his rhymes feel otherworldly. Get this. Columbia University math professors were blown away by his understanding of musical frequencies. Producers swear he could freestyle in perfect mathematical patterns without even thinking about it. His album Paid in Full allegedly contains hidden codes matching ancient Egyptian mathematics. But wait, it gets even more insane. Modern neuroscientists studying his vocal patterns discovered actual brainwave effects that explain why his flow was so hypnotic. Rakim somehow knew acoustic physics that wasn't even public knowledge back then. This man wasn't just spitting bars, he was literally rewiring brains through sacred mathematics. The Hood produced a mathematical genius who changed consciousness forever. Did you know that?
There it is.
My favorite.
So I want to play that. I'm sorry pardon that it was so choppy. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Little technical gremlins on a hump day. But just wanted to play that because I thought that was pivotal to understanding him and in understanding the legacy that he and the tree that he created as a MC in hip hop. Godspeed, Rogue, Simba. What say y'all to that particular video?
To be honest with you, I saw Rakim only once, and Luck, you know exactly what I'm talking about when we went to that concert for Northwell. Shout out.
Wow.
Uh,
Yes, you was
yeah.
there. Oh snap! All right. Yeah,
So
that's right. I forgot you was there.
when I saw him, like Luck was like schooling me on his
Yes. Yes.
favorite, his favorite rapper of all time, one of his favorite rappers of all time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
so Luck was schooling me, and like all I like he was telling me, I'm like, yo, you gotta listen to his lyrics. So I was listening to his lyrics, cause I'm like a rap guy too, but I'm not like I don't know like old like rappers like Rakim and stuff like that. I never listened to them,
Right.
but like I heard of them. So
Mhm.
when he was rapping and stuff like that, I'm like, I like this flow. Like his beat is just like old school, but it's like to me when he was like rapping and stuff like that. To me, it sounded kind of like tacky. It's not like how the beats are produced today in modern era. But he just bought that old school beat back when he started rapping. I'm like, oh, so I understand why this rap is just like so popular back in the day and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So and don't get me wrong, me like I'm a huge Eminem fan. Like I'm a
Okay.
diehard Eminem fan.
That's
Like
what's up.
he raps, like I know like he looks up to like Rakim himself also, like all these greats, because Dre brought up Eminem,
Yeah.
right? Dre brought him up. So like so he gives a special shout out to Rakim and stuff like that. So he has that flow, but Eminem, between him and Rakim, like Eminem has that aggressive, like more aggressive, like flow than Rakim did. Rakim had that aggressive flow, but he didn't have as much as Eminem did. You know?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, they're definitely different MCs.
Yeah.
And with what was cool with the Rakim vid, and what's good is that it encourages younger guys and girls to say, well, whoa, hold on, let me kind of spin the block back on that a little bit. And then his catalog is going to get another little listen to by a younger crowd. You know what I mean? That's what I like about all that. But what's dope is they talk about the comedic sciences and things that's in his rhymes and stuff. And the beauty of it, for me personally, goes back to part of the conversation I was having earlier, especially when your screen had went out, is that you see a lot of today's top three leading religions, especially in the Western Hemisphere, got its origin stories from ancient Kemet. The metal on the walls of ancient Kemet is what birthed the teachings that these religions are under. You know what I mean? And then to inspire further. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you might hear it in his music. To be quite honest with you, when he was writing it, I'm going to venture to say that he didn't think about ancient Kemet when he was writing those lyrics. I believe that seeing how the 5% nation is one of those schools of thought that came many, many, many like eons after. Now, I can't measure the time on how young the 5% nation is opposed to ancient Kemet. The ancient Kemet is an inspiring, how could I say, it's a tree, it's a root that grew a tree that the 5% nation is a branch off of. Okay? Just like,
Fruit.
yeah,
Fruit.
yes, sir, fruit. Exactly. So, yeah, I see the double entendre. Because, right, their inspiration came from the fruit of Islam, whether they want to admit it or not. So, we could go with a double entendre right there, Vic, if you want. But,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, facts. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
that's why the comedic sciences in his music, whether he knew it or not at the time, he might look back on it now and be like, oh, yeah, without ever making a reference to, in a sense. But when you look at his name, Rakim, just that alone, Ra, the sun god, Kim,
Ra.
dark.
Yeah.
You know
Ra.
what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
sun god dark. That's what it meant. In a sense, when you look at it for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
If your name is Ra, you have no choice but to pull those frequencies into what you do.
that is a fact. So
You
again,
just
there you go.
yeah. 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 I was just having a conversation with my son a couple months ago about the Fibonacci sequence and how he should produce in the
Right,
rhythm of the Fibonacci sequence, which is the
right.
golden ratio. And I
Mm-hmm.
was saying if he really wants to hit and he wants to be in tune, right? Because there's a thing, our bodies are tuning forks. Our brains are tuning forks, and our bodies are receptors, right? And if
Right,
he wants to be in tune with what's going on today, so he can have success and do everything that he wants to do in the music world, he should
right.
produce to the mathematical frequency of the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. And if he does that, it's going to
Mm.
touch more people than just Kodak Black or Pharrell or whoever just putting out a piece of music.
Right.
It's going to have meaning, purpose, direction, and it's going to be in tune with more things naturally than just, somebody putting out a piece of music on the radio and everybody just vibing with it. It's going to have
Mm.
deep root and resonance and,
Mm.
and plurality, and people are going to like it, and they're not going to even know why they like it.
Right.
And you know what the crazy part is, Vic? You make a great point and stuff like that. I'm just want to add on to what you just said.
Yes, go
It's
ahead.
just not like now, like when you listen to rap music, right?
Hmm.
If you guys ever listen to any rap music now,
Hmm.
please, if you guys know it, and I know you know the answer to this, what do they talk about most in every majority of rap music you hear now? It's either drugs, sex, or some type of violence,
Right,
right?
Right.
right,
It's just rap music is not the same no more, right?
right,
Like for
right.
example, right? I was driving from my wife's house coming back home,
Okay.
and I was listening to Still Dre. I was
Okay.
bumping that
Hmm.
in the car.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
I'm like Ice Cube, like Dr. Dre and stuff like that was like rapping and stuff like that. How the beat was back then, and then I put more. Then I stopped that song and I played a modern song, a modern rap song. I'm like, there's no comparison. Like I legitly, me being the young one, right? I would still pick the old school raps and the beats more because they talk about something. Nowadays, like these rap songs like Kodak Black, that mumbles and everything. I don't like mumble rap.
Right.
Mm.
Okay.
Don't give me
Copy.
that mumble rap bull crap. I'm sorry. Like if you
Copy.
tell me and say, yo, God, Bobby, I mean Kai, listen to my CD, listen to my song. At this mumble rap, I
Yeah.
am burning my whole house down. Respectfully. Respectfully. You better give me
Yo,
some
I
words
wouldn't
in
say go
there.
that far, but I don't give it that type of energy,
like
I, I know,
like
I know, I know. He's just over exaggerating, but that's funny as hell. He said, "I'll
yeah, but
burn my whole house
it's just
down."
like I'll check myself out into my hospital where I work. There's
Yo,
plenty of rooms over there.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Then double entendre. That's crazy. But
Yeah, but the thing is like it's just like now that what they did with music, and I don't know if you heard about recently that little TJ shot Offset and Offset shot little TJ back. It was in the news. It's just why?
that's
Why you
Yeah.
crazy.
gotta
That
do
boy's
that?
brother just got shot a few years ago, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Shoot,
And
that's
I'm
crazy.
like, what? Like, this is what I mean. It's just like music is not music. Yes, like we all remember it. I mean, not me because I wasn't even thought of or wasn't born that time. But the whole Tupac and Biggie thing, that beef, it was it was it was good. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Tupac guy over Biggie. Like I'm
Okay,
sorry if whoever's watching. If you guys are
that's
watching,
peace.
I'm a Tupac guy. I just love Tupac because I lived in
That's peace.
California. I grew up on like Tupac and stuff like that.
He
But
speaks to
when
you.
they were
All right.
yeah, when they were having that little beef with it, who's better, which coast is better, like West Coast or East Coast between them two, it's just like that's actually beef. That's really like catchy, like controversy, you know? But now then if you see the controversy now that's going on with these other rappers, you just look at them on, yo, dude, you were 10 years old. Put the gun down. Like it's annoying. It's like all these little things you just like ticks you off, man. I just can't stand it.
I hear you, brother. Yeah, I got my moments when I feel exactly like that, you know. But
Well, what's
I'll say
interesting?
this much,
Go
you
ahead.
know, like as you would know, because I know you know how to handle these internet streets. I know how you know how to get around. You know what I mean? So if you go on the Facebook streets, you're gonna see there's a lot of great MCs out there who really don't, use that as a crutch. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? They don't crutch
Oh
on
yeah.
that. You know, but go ahead, Vic Cook. You was gonna say something, Cook.
Oh no, 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 no. Please
Mhm.
finish. Finish.
Yeah, so to me, there's a lot of great hip hop out there. You know, look at Avarice. You know what I'm saying? Our guy Avarice is a
Average the
representative.
MC.
He's a
Check out his
griot.
stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
He
he's a
he put
griot.
out a track. He put out a track recently that got some
Yeah.
frequency in it. And I said, man, I gotta check that out. It's like someone singing
Run. You talking about Run?
over. Maybe
Run
that's
is
it.
my
Yeah.
joint.
But
See,
man, I
like,
was like,
you know
whoa,
what? I'm
that
gonna
track,
wax poetic. I'm gonna wax
yeah.
poetic about him real quick about that record, Run. what's beautiful about Run is like 3 different stories that he's,
Mm.
you know, and it's different type of running. You know what I'm saying? The first verse that he did on there, though, I ain't gonna hold y'all up. Like, it's the first time I heard somebody, for me, I heard somebody write about a slave on the run, like really get in the
Mm.
crux of what that would be like. It's almost like he method wrote. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like you
Mm-hmm.
have a method actor. Well, I created a term called method writing because sometimes when I write, I method write. You know what I'm saying? I sink into the story, sink into the idea so much that I feel like I'm in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So that's like
Mm-hmm.
method acting. So he method write on that one. And I just thought it was beautiful writing. It's so poetic and so pictorial. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. That he's a prime example of a great MC. Prime example. He got his own unique style. He tries his best not to sound like anyone else, and that's the tenets. That's those are the pillars of his house of hip hop. His language in hip hop. Then you know what I'm saying. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing too. You know, like what's inspiring me to go in a direction with this artist thing, seeing how we're there. Watch this. So like somebody might listen to Rakim, think he little, you know, his thing is old school. Somebody might listen to G Rap to a lesser degree, because G Rap, you know, he switches up his flows a lot. So you don't really hear people say G Rap is old school, but G Rap been rapping since 1985. He inspired all of these young dudes like Griselda, the kid named 38 Special. You know what I'm saying? Who says he's the son of G Rap? He named his whole album after G Rap. He said, "I'm the son of G Rap." That was the name of the album, right? And he put G Rap on there with him, right? And the thing is that, with all that said, the Slick Ricks and all these people, yeah, that part right there, you caught
50-50,
me.
my guy.
You caught me.
No,
But
no, no, not you. I'm talking
oh,
about what he claiming.
oh, copy that,
The son
copy
of
that.
G Rap. That's
No,
high
that's what
praise. You better step your game up if you claiming that. Like, come on
yeah,
now.
that's what he said. He said the son of G Rap.
Yeah, that's
So
like that's a somebody. That's like somebody saying I'm the son of Nas. Like what? Like
right,
okay,
right.
you,
Like,
Well,
you better come with some fire. Like
you
well,
better.
well, I'm the
you
son of
putting that
Jordan.
out there. Like you better come with something. Like you better not be weak out there. You know what I'm saying? You better not be
Well,
50-50 with your efforts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
word. Hey, but you see, like
Peace,
what I'm gonna
y'all.
say is this. Hey,
Peace,
peace, bro.
peace.
Peace. See, what
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I'd
say
like
is,
to add on to that subject. I had
oh,
somebody in the car, but
no
I'm
sweat.
listening. I'm listening. I'm
No sweat.
listening.
I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna spit this one little joint, then I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
cook.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
so what I'm saying is this: what I've come to my inner, how can I say, my inner understanding of the situation is this, because I write too and I rhyme too, right? I'm recording some stuff now, but the
Same
thing is
here.
this: the thing, facts. So, but the thing is this though: I look at it as different languages, right? So when I hear Slick Rick rhyme, I don't say it's old school no more. I say that's his language. That's the way he speak. He didn't change the way he spoke. He could have. He has enough talent to change, but he chose to keep speaking that language. Rakim,
Hmm.
that's his language. Coogee Rap, that's his language. 38 Special, that's his language. Griselda MCs, that's their language. The Wu-Tang MCs. Look at Method Man. Method Man sounds like a hungry new artist. He's coming out with a new album produced by Havoc. He sounds like a brand new artist, but he still speaks his language. He's not sounding like anyone else. He chose not to. You know what I'm saying? You listen to Raekwon. He just came out with a great album, The Emperor's Robe. His language, Ghostface Killer. He didn't change up his language. So I'm just gonna put that on the floor. Instead of, I'm gonna encourage young people that's coming into listening to this music, look at it as different languages. Just look at it that way. Try.
When you say different languages, right? Can you
Mm-hmm.
like elaborate on that for the young ones who's like want to listen to it and give it a try? Like, can you be more specific with that? Because like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like I understand what you're saying, but I just want you to be more clear,
Okay.
so I could like.
I, could I add on? I can
Yeah,
add
add
on
on.
to that, look.
Add on. Mm-hmm.
So, um, it's become a thing. It started in our era, really. It became a thing to say like old school, new school. When '89 hit, that's when the term old school even started becoming a thing. To be honest, 89, 90.
True.
because the music changed. You know, the speed of the music, the way the drums, the way the sampling, and all of that. And then the people like old school meets new school. You know, and I never liked that term because um, it's art at the end of the day. You know, and art is just your expression. So I give you an example, right? So hip hop, the way it moved, it went from New York and it started going across America before it actually pushed down south and pushed up north, right? So New York being the Mecca, what happened was when Melly Mel and all of them was out and doing their thing, we was enjoying that. That was the Block Party years. And when the Block Party years left and Rakim and them came, the rest of the United States did not hear Rakim, did not know nothing about EPMD. They were getting what we already listened to. They was West Coast MCs talk about them coming over here on vacation just to buy tapes. That's how West Coast hip hop even became a thing because the early MCs used to come here in the summertime in New York and buy the tapes, the mixtapes, and bring them back. And they'll be listening to it and trying to rap and catch what they're saying and say they raps. And this is how they started to learn how to rap. So if you listen to early West Coast rappers, they're rapping in the 80s flow, in late 70s to early 80s flow when we was already rapping a different way in the late 80s to early 90s flow, right? And same thing with Houston. Bun B's his style. People, young dudes like, yo, Bun B's my dude and da 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 da, right? But the reality is, when you listen to Bun B's style, he's just rapping the '80s style with his twang on it. Same thing down south, Georgia and all of them. When they started rapping, they were rapping '80s flow, and then they came
Yeah.
into '90s. By the time you hear Outkast, so modern young rappers, they're coming off of Eminem and Outkast. And
Hmm.
who was their influence? Rakim, Tribe Called Quest, Poor Righteous Teachers, Naughty by Nature, right? So
Slick Rick.
once Slick Rick. So once again, they're like it spins out from the Mecca and it's born, and then it goes out into the world, and it's a ripple effect. If you go overseas right now in Africa and you go to Italy and all these other places, they're rapping in the 80s and 90s flow. This is why 90s got popular again, because in all actuality, people like Pharrell and them, when he was making his beats and everybody was loving Pharrell and all of that, Pharrell was influenced by the early 80s hip hop, what I call fun hop, the fun era. And you hear it in the style of beat making, you know? Um, Everybody has their own expression because what they're doing is when they received it and whoever they received it from, like you said, West Coast, you had Too Short and all of them. Too Short and all of them it was doing 70s and early 80s rap flow.
Yeah,
That's why
they were big influenced by the funk era of the 70s.
exactly.
Zapp and Roger and all of those cats out there.
And to give you some history on West
Rick
Coast
James
hip hop,
and all of that. Yeah.
yes. And to give you some history on West Coast hip hop, the godfathers of West Coast hip hop is actually EPMD and Rakim. It's Long Island. When Long Island MCs went to the West Coast and first performed out there, they took off something crazy. That's why to this day there's still legends out there. And
Hmm.
the reason why is because EPMD mainly because if there was no EPMD, there would be no G Funk. G Funk
Hmm.
came about because of EPMD. EPMD
Hmm.
sampled funk music
Hmm.
and went over there, and they know about Sly and the Family Stone and all of that.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it was a direct connection. And all they did
Absolutely.
was listen to my demo. If you listen to that, that is the time signature that early West Coast G Funk rappers was rapping to. That slower beat pattern, that early 80s, late 79, 78, BPM. And they're rapping. MC8. MC8 tells you Rakim is his favorite MC of all time. The slow flow. That came from Long Island. We made that popular and sampling. Look, Wu-Tang Clan. Young cats like Wu-Tang Clan. Who did Wu-Tang Clan model themselves after? Long Island, once again,
Hmm.
because um, um, uh, what
Oh, the
was it?
hit squad.
Death Squad, Hit Squad, and
Yeah,
Death
the hit
Squad
squad. Mm-hmm.
was was mega back then. And
Yeah,
then
hit
you
squad.
had Native Tongues was mega back then. They were
Right.
running everything. And then we went into the Wu-Tang era. And RZA is on interview saying, yeah, Raekwon and Ghost was supposed to be our EPMD, and this one was supposed to match up with that one. Jizza was our Rakim, and boom, boom, boom. He was structured the whole Wu-Tang Clan based on Long Island MCs, even though we don't get the props we deserve, but he based it on all of that. You see what I'm saying? So,
Right.
I always tell people, it may have started in the Bronx, but Long Island gave hip hop its flavor. And Long Island is we the trendsetters. We set most of the trends in hip hop. If it wasn't for Public Enemy, hip hop would have never hit Texas and none of the middle states. None of them. Because it was Public Enemy that was the first group to actually tour all these middle states and all of that and influence all the middle states, you know? But going back, so saying language is another way of saying expression. Like for instance, uh, uh, Da Vinci or any of these people, right? We could look at Michelangelo. An artist wouldn't say, "Oh, that's an old school artist." No, they would
Mm.
never say that. They'd say, "Yo, that's a Michelangelo right there."
Right, right. That part. That
You
part
see?
right there.
So the issue that I have with hip hop and how things went was that we kind of took a sucker route in the sense of we were putting down. We reached a point. Hip hop in the beginning was all about elevation. Every MC talked good about each other, even if you battled each other. It was still like, yo, nah, he nice at what he do, I do what I do. And then most of them wouldn't even. It's like you interviewing me. Don't interview me about him. Interview me about me and my group, right? And then we went the sucker route, and where we start comparing ourselves to each other. I'm better than them. We better than them, you know, and made something that was so vast seem so small in the eye of the public through our words, and we really destroyed our own genre. It's self-defeat, really. It's self-destruction, like Karis One and them said. It's self-destruction that really entered into hip-hop and started dismantling what we were actually creating. you know then the MC felt, I'm better than the DJ. Why am I needing a DJ? You see, because the music industry, the Europeans, was like, why are we going to pay for a DJ, right? When we could put your stuff on a CD and you just rap off your CD, or DAT or ADAT, right? Why are we going to give you dances when you could just
Mm.
put them in the video? Why are we paying all that money to have you travel around with dancers and a DJ when we could just put them in the video? People see them in the video, it'll be going good. You go out on stage, it's about you. And
Right.
made the MC feel like it's about him,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
So, if
Mm-hmm.
I could add on real quick, what it sounds
Yeah,
like to me is a neglect of the five elements of hip hop for the
yes,
commerciality of rap.
yes.
And I'm not
I'm
sure.
glad you
I'm
said
not
that.
sure if Simba is picking up what I'm putting down, but hip hop was a different animal to rap.
Correct.
Rap is the commercial side. Hip hop has the five elements that always have to be present if you're going to call it an art form.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Rap is
So
something you do. Hip hop is something you live.
Yep.
yes, yes,
Caswan said it perfect.
Perfect.
yes,
Perfect.
yes,
Just
Last
because
one.
you
yes,
rap
and you know
don't make
why
you
though.
do hip
But
hop.
let's say why, because it came
Okay.
out of the street. It came out of necessity to get out of gang life. It came out of necessity to kind of be progressive, even though you were poor. It came out of necessity of to be, police brutality in the West
Yep.
Coast and in the East Coast, pretty much all
Yep.
over the country.
All over
And
wherever we
it
at.
came out of necessity. It came out of necessity to be better and to show an art form and to show that you can be a musician, even though you may not have been able to afford instruments. Your mouth was an instrument. Your
Yeah.
beats, your beat making was an instrument. Your DJing was an instrument. You know what I mean?
Yep. And you know what?
And you brought all
Be,
that to life in the
hmm
parks. Because if you couldn't
And
afford the
yep.
big arenas and the big clubs, you plugged into the light pole.
We wasn't allowed to
You
even go to
know?
those clubs. How about that?
Talk
All
that
those
talk, Chris.
Yes,
clubs that came
yes,
later on and made money off of us, we weren't even allowed there.
yep,
You couldn't even go in Midtown like that back
yep,
then. You black, you in Midtown Manhattan, you there for a particular purpose, and that's to spend your money. You're
Yep.
not there to do anything else. You're not allowed to make no money there, you know? So this is part of the history,
Spend and
you
leave.
know.
Spend and leave.
Yeah. And you got to think about it. Why we didn't have, because the early groups had bands, right? But
Mm.
why it was so limited was because back then, you could check the history, they were suppressing musicians because before hip hop took off, we had the big jazz era before the funk era. The funk is in between the jazz and the hip hop. So what happened was places like St. Albans, Queens was the mecca of jazz because every jazz musician in the world was coming to St. Albans, Queens because of people like Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald, James Brown even lived in St. Albans at this time. Like, I mean, their murals is still there to this day.
Yep.
And, these people were major figureheads in the music industry at that time. So, you wanted to be around them. So you came to a place like St. Albans, Queens. So they had to crush it. And that's when they brought the heroin because remember now, Queens is the largest borough and it touches the Bronx, Harlem, Manhattan, Brooklyn. You could even go through Queens and go to Staten Island by
That's a
going the
big ball.
route of Verrazano. So it was all strategic to kill out, and Queens was recognized as the black middle class. That was the original black middle class. It wasn't Nassau. It became Nassau because of all the drugs and all the well-to-do people started moving out because they brought all the drugs in South Jamaica, Queens.
yeah,
And South Jamaica, Queens strategically touches all just about every area of Queens. Yeah, it touches every area of Queens. So
yeah,
once
man.
again, it's all systematic.
Yep.
So real quick before we got to get ready to get off, one of the reasons why I highlighted the Rakim clip of the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio and all of
I
that
wanted
is
to touch on that too. I didn't get to touch on that, but go ahead,
yeah,
add on.
yeah, absolutely. So is I think it's absolutely brilliant that like Brother Luck said, Rakim wrote in the consistency of universal mathematics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because he was on that frequency, which comes from the tree of old, right? Which comes from the ancient root of the
That.
ancient texture of
Kemet.
Fibonacci,
Oh.
ancient texture of Metu Neter,
Uh-huh.
ancient texture of golden ratio. it's interesting that a person, like you said, with the name Ra, would tap into that because he's being conscious of the way that he's writing and what he's writing, and so many others who were conscious of the way that they were writing and the gift that their creativity allowed them to express. They got on there and created masterpieces of music. I think about a De La Soul, that sort of an album, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you can even bring it up to a recent Kendrick with "To Pimp a Butterfly." How creative that was,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll have those who created those classic albums, all dug deeper and in a more soulful place to be very intentional about the way they wrote and intentional about the way the music was laid out in the album and intentional about the 4 count or the 3 count or the 8 count or whatever it was that made that made them want to express their artistry the way they did it and what made those albums classic. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Yeah.
classic album, even a Tupac, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
people consider Illuminati a great album. That's
Right.
debatable, but it resonated with a lot of people because of the passion, the emotion, and the intention that he wrote in it.
Yeah.
So when you're
Mm-hmm.
intentional and not just trying to put out fast food rap, you're actually creating a hip hop album. You may run into those ancient frequencies that allow you to create and do great things. And what's interesting is that when we had our griots in the antebellum era, they tapped into those frequencies there. And then when we had our even in places like Kemet and Kush, they're rumored to be doing a lot of what you call hezi chants. So when let's say they
Mm-hmm.
had a really daunting task, a group of them would get together and hezi chant, and the power and the emotion and the derivative of the hezi chant would allow them. It was a humming. It was a humming.
Mm.
So it's almost like when you do martial arts and you strike in key, you strike a key, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with a hezi chant. So
Mm.
in basketball and football players do it when they get into a huddle and they say a little chant or they say a little team, you know, theme song. They're they're spiritually moving themselves to create to move into a space where they can accomplish a task, and it ignites all of them. And I can get deep
Yep.
into it and talk about melanin and the electricity between melanin bonding and ionic bonding and covalent. I can
Mm-hmm.
get into all of that, but I'm just trying to tell you that these are older frequencies that the men and women of this day tap into to create this great, grandiose music that we love, that has taken the world by storm. And even to this day, people can't understand how, with no instruments, these people are able to create these classic albums.
Right.
And just to add on with the Fibonacci sequence,
Yes,
right? Because this individual that so-called created this form of math, it's very recent compared to our ancestors that
yes,
implemented this math um, in daily living, right?
yes.
We've been dealing with, you see, like I tell people all the time, when you study anatomy and who you are, you learn that you're a scientist by birth. You're a mathematician by birth. Your eyes is calculating mathematical equations all day, every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're just not putting numbers to it. So we have allowed a dummy to come in the room and take our numerical system and say, hey, this is mathematics. Let me teach you. And they're teaching you what you do naturally. So this Fibonacci situation,
Correct.
right? We do that
Correct.
naturally. It doesn't
Correct.
shock me that they're finding it in Rakim's lyrics. Rakim was
Correct.
big on Coltrane, and if you listen to Coltrane, Coltrane was exotic compared to other people who was rocking at his time, like Thelonious Monk. Certain people was just special, right? They was in their own zone creating.
Bird.
And
Yeah.
yeah, right. So, and these people really, how do they create and how do they become special? They just dig into themselves and be honest with themselves and express themselves. And I feel like once you dig into your own personal self, you'll find your own rhythm, your own time, and then you will express that through any and everything that you're doing, right? And in doing so, you're you're flowing with the cadence and the energy of the universe. So therefore, your mathematics is going to be synced. Period. You don't even have to
Absolutely.
think it. It's
And I
just like
think you should bring that up, bro, because Fibonacci is Italian Renaissance
exactly.
taught
Yeah. So
for what original people were doing anyway.
yeah. So y'all could go and tune in to the Fibonacci sequence being broken down in TED Talk, and you'll see how they flew over African tribe civilization, and it was like, wow, this is perfect in the Fibonacci sequence. How could this be? They didn't have this math. This is what they're trying to teach on TED Talk, trying to teach the Fibonacci sequence, but they were using clips from civilizations in Africa and how it was laid out. And it's like, how did they know to lay out in the Fibonacci sequence? Just because somebody gives something a name, don't mean that somebody wasn't doing it before them. And don't mean that it didn't have a name before.
Right.
Correct.
How could Columbus discover someplace people was already living?
Exactly. It goes back to that whole theory, you know?
Right.
So I think Rakim is just doing what was naturally in his DNA to do
Yes. Absolutely.
because his ancestors lived this,
Yep.
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And that's what I strive for in my life now. I love books, but I don't overindulge in book knowledge. I dwell in this life story that I'm a character in, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
I read. I'm literally reading, you know, Earth like a binary code. It's zeros and ones for me,
Right. Right.
you know, and I think that that's a level that every human being is capable of, but some of us we get so caught up. You know, I met a comedian the other day, and we had this great conversation. He's like, "Yo, brother, you know, let's exchange information. You seem like very intelligent, brother. That you do a lot of reading." I said, "I've done some reading. Yeah, I could tell you some. You give me some subject matter, I could give you some books." I said, "But you know, what's the best book to read?" And he was like, What's the greatest book?" Pulls out his phone and he starts getting ready to type what I'm about to tell him. I said, "The Book of Life," and he's typing it, and he's like, "The Book of Life," thinking it's a book, like a tangible book. I said, "Yeah, the Book of Life, brother. We're both characters in our chapter right now." He's like, "Oh, shoot." Oh, it blew his mind. As simple as it is, it blew his mind because he's been weighed down with all these lies saying that you
Right.
got to read a book. You need an instruction manual, yeah, you know, in order to live your life. You know what I'm saying? So
Hey, you know
all
what?
that stuff.
You know what, bro? I'm gonna add on real
Go ahead.
quick before we get
Yep.
ready to get out of here. If
Yep.
one thing I've learned from reading books, and I've read a crap ton, is that I need to read another book.
Hey,
That's it.
Every book I read makes me want to read another book, and another
right.
book, and
That's it.
another book, and another book.
Yep.
And the concrete or factual things that I know for certain, for sure, is what you live
What you live.
There you go.
and what you can
Real life
That's it.
experience
experience.
what you can experience with your five senses and resonate as factual that way. You know what I mean? So it's definitely
Because
I
and
definitely
guess what?
resonate.
Because without what you just said, Vic, then there wouldn't be
Mhm.
any books anyway.
Right.
And one more thing with the old school versus new school, Little Yachty and this other rapper. who I think might be bigger than him right now. Skinny dark skinned kid. I think his name is. He's very popular.
What
Um,
What's his latest song?
I don't know his latest song, but his name sounds like an alcohol. Um, he's been around a little while, and I remember he was dressed in like cosplay, and he had like the little devil horn kind of um what's his name? I be knowing his name. It always I don't say it all the time. Anyway, my point is that they are rapping in the original 80s style hip hop.
Mm.
When you listen to them, their accent makes it sound like a new style,
Is
but
it Dax?
not Dax. It's um it sounds like an alcohol. It's a two-part name. He's very popular. Skinny kid. Um he had like the little devil horns in his video, but it wasn't red, it was like white. Like he was cosplaying.
Mm.
Black nails. He's very popular. He's from the. I think he came right after NBA. What's his name? NBA YoungBoy.
NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah, he came after him. Very popular dude, and he's from the era with Young Thug with Young Thug.
Oh, Little Nas.
Not Little Nas. Nah, I didn't even know they consider him a rapper.
this
Yeah,
is gonna play with my mind, bro. If we don't figure this thing out, I'm
he's
gonna.
skinny dude, dark skin. His raps.
And you said that he sounds like an alcohol name.
Yeah, his name is like.
That's all good, Roots. Put the point.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the point is that they think they're doing something new, and I saw Little Yachty talking about Sugar Hill Gang, but I have a little homie that he listens to all these rappers, you know, and this particular rapper is his favorite rapper. So I told him, I said, yo, bro, all of them is if we want to talk old school, new school, all of them is using the old school 80s flow. He's like, no, they're not. I said, okay, play me a song. He played me one of the songs that he liked, and I listened to it. I said, okay. And I went in my Rolodex and I played a song. And he was like, oh, shoot. I said, yeah, you see, the accent is just different on the words, but it's the same style. You can only use but so many syllables in 4 bars, bro. You're only going to be able to come up with but so many styles, man.
Yeah.
Is he one? Is he one of
old.
these people here? Is he one of these people here? Hold on. Let me try to put it up.
I'm. Let me see. I'm gonna widen the screen. Okay.
Wait a minute. Why isn't it coming up?
Because that's gonna play with my mind now since you said that. Like I'm trying to figure out who that is.
Cardi. Something Cardi is his name.
Oh, Playboy Cardi. Playboy Cardi.
Playboy Cardi. Playboy Cardi style is from the 80s, bro. It's from the 80s. My boy kept playing Playboy Cardi. I said, okay, let me go to this song. Check this song. And it's not that Playboy is listening to these people. What it is that hip hop and all musical genres goes in cycles. Everything is in cycles. So what was will be again. Just like now, they're doing the baggy jeans again.
Yeah.
We did the tight jeans.
Who would have thought that would have came back? I never thought that would come back. Not that
we
one.
did the tight jeans. We did the tight jeans in the punk era.
Yeah.
In the punk rock era.
And who would have thought that a damn near 60-year-old wise intelligent is on Instagram spitting the way he's spitting?
Yo, phenomenal.
That dude is incredible right now. He's damn near 60 years old.
Yeah,
and guess what? Look at it. Right now, all these young MCs I've been showing my brother for the last 2-3 years. coming back to lyricism again. Everybody
Yeah.
like, oh, that's some up north, that's some East Coast stuff. You know, you rap intelligent. You got
Yeah.
rappers. I could show you from down south, from Houston. I could show you from anywhere there's hip hop right now. They all kicking raps with a message behind it. Why? Because everything moves in cycles. You get tired
Hmm.
of everything. If I feed you burgers every single day in a year or two, you're gonna want a piece of chicken, bro. And if
Word.
say that's just how it is.
That's exactly the
Yeah,
point Simba was making earlier.
yeah. But the thing is, like with that thing, since you guys are talking about lyrical, right?
Yep.
I think, and let me ask y'all this. Let me see if you could like
Hey, we got
name
30
the rapper,
seconds. We got 30
right?
seconds.
What rapper right now, right? Do you think could like is the lyrical rapper that when he raps, when he rhymes and stuff like that, he tells a story? Because I could think of one on top of my head right now.
Of course you
Who would
could.
be yours? Who be
Me,
yours?
me personally, I say J. Cole.
Okay.
J.
That's
Cole?
fair.
J.
That's
Cole,
fair.
J. Cole, like his album, if you listen to his songs in the past and stuff like that, every time he raps and talks and stuff like that, it's about his life, his story, and everything.
Hey,
So you got J. Cole. You got
hey, ask that question one more time. We're gonna go out on that question. Ask
yep.
that question one more time.
So my question to y'all, whoever, everybody that's watching at home and in this show today, if you could pick one rapper in today's era that's a pure lyricist, who would that rapper be?
All right, y'all. I hate to cut it short. Show
Yes, sir.
finale. I got less than
Go.
30 seconds to wrap it up. But
Now go ahead.
we didn't get to get into everything we wanted to do for the show, but that's okay because we building. Uh Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Turn on all your notifications so every time we have a real HD show, you guys can tap in and have a higher discussion. I want to say peace. I want to say thank you to all my guests, all my real HD crew that came from far and wide. You know, Brother Rue, Godspeed, Simba, myself, everybody that's listening
Yes,
to
sir.
the show. Peace to y'all. We got a hell of a lot of people watching on Kick right now,
Nice.
responding, digging up the show. So please, so thank you for all your participation. Leave it in the chat. Answer Simba's question, and we'll be back next Wednesday to give you the update on that piece. And y'all walk with power.
Peace.